So how did you, back in those days, what was your marketing and branding and advertising initiative on how you sold those 100,000 vacuum cleaners? What processes did you use? Because that was just, television was just starting to really come in, although in the late 40s and then the 50s, and then really when Kennedy was running for president in 1960 is when it really took hold.
Yeah, I did not. I started out with very little money, frankly, and so I couldn't engage in a big advertising campaign or something of that sort. So initially it was direct mail, and that way I could select who it is I wanted to talk to, my most likely customer. And I refined the advertising campaign, which is another important thing. I sold the fact that the product was lightweight and that hotels used it. And because it was lightweight, my competitor said, well, because it's lightweight, it's no good, it won't work, and so on. So I went to hotels, and quite frankly, I would have given them the vacuum if I couldn't have sold it to them, because I wanted to get around the fact that lightweight did not mean light performance or light quality. And so today there's probably 50,000 hotels all over the world that use Oreck vacuums. So I went to...
Wait, how many?
50,000.
50,000 hotels
are
using Oreck vacuum cleaners now?
Yeah, something like that. And
it's huge.
They were my first customers because I had to overcome the idea that lightweight was light performance or light quality. So that was a very good way of doing so. And then I used direct mail. And that was, in fact, that's what got Sears Goat, is, of course, they were very big in the catalog business. And by using direct mail, I could direct my message directly to the customer most likely to buy the product. And you can do that in direct mail, of course.
But David, how did you know, was there the sophisticated research that you could find that prime target audience back in those days as we can today?
No, I really didn't have the wherewithal, frankly, at that time to hire a high-priced agency to discover those things. I realized because the product was lightweight that convenience was the big issue, and an older audience was particularly interested in that. Women who were older didn't want to push around a heavy vacuum. And so I appealed to them, and I went in direct mail, and I would go to take specific groups. And by going by direct mail and selling it at retail, I had the profit that normally would have gone to a retailer.
Right.
Which I used to support my mailing. And
David, is it fair to say that maybe one of the breakthroughs that you had in differentiating your vacuum cleaners from the others is that you chose to go lightweight, and that was the big, kind of the phrase that pays, where your big win came?
That is precisely correct, and I would say you have to focus on one thing, and you can bring more pressure to bear on the point of a pen than over a broad surface. So I focused on the one thing. Now then, in the body copy, I say, it's powerful, it's this, that, and the next thing.
Sure.
But the main thing was it's light, it's convenient. It weighed only 8 pounds, a fraction of what the others weighed. And
how did you know? Because all of us in American industry and American marketing today are trying to find that one differentiation that separates us from everyone else. How in the world, back in that time, did you come up with lightweight? What was your thinking? Because we're all struggling with that now to differentiate our brands and our products from everyone else's.
Well, first of all, there's no substitute. I mean, I was working, And you can't do these things by remote control. That is to say, you got to listen to what people are saying. I frequently say that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them proportionately.
Mm-hmm.
And you listen to what the customer is saying. And the maids in the hotel, they loved my vacuum cleaner because the others weighed a ton and mine weighed 8 pounds, and it was easy for them to swing around from room to room, and they loved it because it was light. And, of course, it held up, so the hotels were happy. And I was there. I saw that. And, of course, there are other advantages, too. One of the early successes I had that kind of got me into the direct mail was there was an outfit in Chicago called Ozite. And Ozite made, their original business was underlayment for carpet, but they made something called indoor-outdoor carpet. Mm-hmm. Very low profile. They glued to the floor. And but the problem with it was that regular vacuum cleaners didn't work at all on that darn thing because it was low profile and glued to the floor. You couldn't suck air through it.
Yeah.
So dirt stuck to it like Velcro. And they had but I knew my vacuum would do the trick because it worked a little different. And I went to Chicago where their offices were, uninvited of course, and I went up to their office. There was a receptionist whose desk was sitting on a dirty Ozite carpet, and I said to her, "Can I see the president?" She said, "Do you have an appointment?" I said, "No." "Well, you can't see him." "Oh." I said, "Well, very well. How about the sales manager?" "Do you have an appointment?" "Well, you can't see him either." So finally I looked her in the eye. Probably a tear might have been falling from one of mine. I said, would you be willing to look at my vacuum cleaner? So she shrugged her shoulders. I guess she felt sorry for me. And she said, "Go ahead, plug it in." Mm-hmm. So for the receptionist, I plugged it in, and I had that carpet cleaned in a minute. I mean,
wow.
Well, it didn't take long for the president to come out, the sales manager, and so on. And they said, "Look, this has been our big problem. Our carpet lasts and this and that and the next thing, but you can't clean it easily. Mm-hmm. And your vacuum will do it. Would you send a mailing to all of our dealers all over America?" I said, "Would I?" And I did. And I had about an 80% success. It was incredible. That I promptly stopped trying to sell to retailers at that point and said, "Look, this is what I've got to do." So I then made mailings to all kinds of people, doctors and dentists and so on, and I had a special deal just for them, you know. And it was a huge success. And that's what got Sears aggravated because they thought I was going to overtake them in the mail order business, which of course is absurd.
Right.
But anyway, they got me kicked out of Whirlpool. And so I felt pretty bad about that, frankly, but it forced me to do it myself. And
when did you? So right now we've discovered you positioned yourself as lightweight, convenient. You did a lot of direct mail. When did you come? I mean, you know, you can't walk down the street and everyone recognizes you. You're like a household name. You've been on television for 30, 40 years.
Right.
When did you decide to say, I got to go on television, I've got to get this space and this vacuum and this bowling ball underneath it, and what triggered all that for you?
I didn't really realize it, I guess, define it at the time, but I do have thought about it, and I'll tell you this. There, in advertising, and most certainly today in our country, there's an enormous crisis of confidence. People don't believe the government, and if you can't believe the government, how can you believe some advertising guy? I mean, everybody knows he's in it to sell his product and so on.
Right.
I just felt, however, that if I could talk directly to the consumer, and if they perceived that I was a true sayer, and so on, unfortunately, I guess they figured out that old man wouldn't lie to me. So, anyway, I just felt as though I needed to talk to the customer.